Long before. Hitler as a kid was abused by his father. He had a hard life from his younger brother dying when Hitler was only 11, and his older brother Alois running away, leaving Hitler and his two sisters left. Hitler was next in line for the abuse his father once gave to his older brother. He said, "I thought that once my father saw what little progress I was making at the technical school, he would let me devote myself to happiness." Hitler explained in his book Mein Kampf.
As Hitler grew up, he had many dreams of being an artist or singing, but his father strongly disagreed with Hitler's idea of life, so he put an end to it. Hitler was in World War I. He quoted that no one ever sent me letters or gifts, so I was left alone waiting for what everyone else had.
Then Hitler was put in jail for high treason, for trying to take down Berlin because he wanted the National Revolution to spread over to Germany. While in jail, he wrote his book Mein Kampf, also known as My Struggle. That was about his struggle throughout his life and his plans if he were ever able to get into power. When were you born?
I was born
February?
February 20th, 1925.
And what was your childhood like?
It was pretty good. We worked on the farm,
Oh.
and it was pretty good.
In Idaho, right?
In Idaho, yeah.
That's awesome. When did you join the Army?
I was a senior in high school,
Mm-hmm.
and the war had already started, and everybody, there was no boys to play basketball or anything with, you know.
Yeah.
And so I joined the Navy,
Mm-hmm.
and I went down the airfield at Ogden, and worked there for a while because I thought, well, I wanted to get in the Navy.
Yeah.
I mean, any Air Force.
Right.
And that didn't turn out, so I went back up to Castle Ford, Idaho, where I lived, and I joined the Navy in my senior year.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I got out of the Navy, I went to finish my schooling
Right.
at Susanville, California.
Mm-hmm.
It's about it.
Oh, it's perfect. Thank you. So do you remember what some of the battles you were in?
Yes, I do. The first one was in Leyte.
Mm-hmm.
We was on a destroyer,
Right.
and a small one, and we had underwater demolition team. What we do is run into beaches and they clear the seal that the Japs would put in it,
Mm-hmm.
clean it all out. It was interesting.
Yeah.
We had to keep busy. We was just a small one compared to the big ones, you know, the destroyers and all those aircraft carriers and all that. But we kept quite a few of the subs off of them.
Yeah.
But of course, I was sitting there 3 years. And we had 4 invasions. The first one was, like I started to say a while ago, was at Leyte.
Yeah.
And then we went to Iwo Jima. And what we did there was mostly just guard the Marines and stuff that was. At night we'd take turns of putting flares up, keeping where they fought all night and all day, you know. And that helped a lot because they could see at night, you know. And the
Yeah.
Japs had us all covered in caves and stuff like that, and it helped them out quite a bit.
Right before, Hitler had joined the National Society group. His book led him to have mass amounts of money, and in the group there were many unemployed soldiers, so he took them under his wing and gave them jobs, which he called the Nazi Party. The election was coming, and Hitler had won by a 36% vote. He wanted a fascist style of living, which meant which he had created. Hitler disagreed with democracy. He stood up to it. Hitler wanted all power and control in Germany. He believed and spread the idea that the Jews were the reason for the war and the Depression.
Hitler stated in one of his many speeches, "The task of a political leader must be to overcome this division through a greater ideal and greater realization. So I decide, as a determined individual, to declare war on this inner strife, and by means of this party to give unity back to the nation out of its desolation, and how we witness class upon class are collapsing, how hundreds and thousands are driven to despair, are losing their livelihoods. Year after year, tens of thousands go bankrupt. Hundreds of thousands of compulsory actions take place, and then workers start to become impoverished. The most industrious class in the entire nation is driven to ruin, can no longer exist. And then this spreads back to the cities, and the army of unemployed begins to grow. They destroyed what they could in 14 years of work, and no one stopped them. I decided to make this decision because it is my conviction that our nation will finally return to its senses."
Through Hitler's eyes, he saw that whilst everyone around him was poor, the Jewish race, because they believed in investment in their banking career, they still had wealth. Hitler disliked this very much because he blamed the Jews for democracy, and he also blamed democracy for World War I. The Jews were undoubtedly a race, but they were not human, Hitler stated.
Adolf's sister Paula stated, "When we would play planes as children, Adolf always wanted all the control. I could see that as a kid, Adolf was already beginning his path towards fascism."
After the Great Depression, Adolf gained power not only because he had loads of money from his book, but also because of the Treaty of Versailles was passed, and Germany had to pay back all the debt and that was owed to France. Plus the debt that they had from the Depression, he threatened the Germans with death so that they would fall under his power.
As Hitler had been in power, his plan was that he had blamed the Jews for having so much money when everyone else had very little during the Depression, so his belief was to eliminate the race that had made the country uneven and unfair to all.
Hitler wanted to control everything. He had his Nazi party overturn the society so that they created concentration camps, where all Jews and everyone went if they were against his beliefs. Hitler killed off anyone who didn't agree with him.
He took a stand against democracy because he wanted so much power and a fascist type of living that he killed nearly 11 million people to get his way. The Nazi Party seemed doomed to fail, and its leaders, including Hitler, were jailed and charged with high treason.
However, Hitler used the courtroom as a public trial as a propaganda platform, ranting for hours against the Weimar government, and he created camps. He couldn't let the idea that once Jewish people had power over what they wanted. He encouraged national pride, militarism, and a commitment to evoke a radically pure Germany. Hitler attempted at an armed overthrow of local authorities of Munich, known as the Beer Hall Putsch.
Right after, World War II ended with the unconditional surrender of the Axis powers. On September 2nd, 1945, the Allies accepted Germany's surrender, and about a week later, Hitler killed himself.
Even though the war had ended, there was still so much racial tension. Nazi soldiers still killed the Jews, and some Hitler supporters were forced to clean up the mess that Hitler created, including helping the Jews. Some people helped the Jews out of the kindness of their heart, and some still devised the Jews and kicked them out of places.
Long after. At the end of the war, millions of refugees were homeless. The European economy had collapsed, and most of the European industrial infrastructure was destroyed. As a result of it, World War II signed the end of European imperialism.
Japan became pacifist. The war later brought new technology and new fighting methods. Also, the aircraft improved greatly from transport, bombing, radar, and aircraft destroying were all improved.
World War II had shown to many people that being fascist wasn't the best path to go down. By Hitler's mistakes, more people grew from what he did and learned not to go down the same path.
And this is how
Hitler
took a stand
against democracy and
for the idea that he
wanted all the power
in the world.